Hello, I'm Zman Reviews, ripping things off so you don't have to. Okay, you know how like with King of the Hill and Office and like a lot of shows I'm gonna be doing, I'm like, wow, I'm such a newbie. I don't know anything about these. That's that's not the case with this one. The Simpsons just is my favorite TV show of all time. I'm pretty sure I said this back when I covered the shorts, which, geez, to think how far I've come even since then. That was almost 2 months ago. Crazy to think just how much that using this channel has dramatically improved my life. I do seriously love having a YouTube channel, even though I know no one watches these. They're more for myself anyway. Anyway, today I am tackling a Simpsons season 1. The show's quaint beginning. The shorts did really well enough to even allow them to get a first season in the first place, so clearly there was something to this yellow family after all. And although I know in most of these videos you can only see my face, this time, oh yeah, The Simpsons World, which documented the first 20 seasons of the show. I pray that once they finish season 40, which let's all be honest, we're gonna get to that. They do a second one for 21 to 40. I think it's just cool to have a Simpsons media like this, and they will be using it at the beginning to showcase each episode. I know with the shorts of review and also the whole brackets, I know it makes it seem like I'm a giant Simpsons channel, and you know what? If there's one show that I'm going to base my whole channel off, why not make it, again, my all-time favorite show? Well, with that, I don't think I see any purpose in not just starting reviewing the episodes. Again, I don't really think Simpsons needs that big of an introduction. We all know what The Simpsons is. And if you don't, then I did a whole bracket on them. Episode 1, Simpsons roasting on an open fire. In this episode, it's the Christmas season, and Homer doesn't have the money to afford Christmas gifts, so he tries whatever he can to make the family's Christmas magical. As a first episode, how is this one? It's a 4 out of 5. Solid opener. Not the best episode in the world, but hey, first episodes and first seasons in general are rarely like the best part of a show, so you can't really get too upset about this, so I won't. I don't know much to comment on with this episode, which I know is a little bad considering this is the first episode of such a popular show, but it's just a nice character story. I think these first 3 seasons especially were really based off the character stories. I wouldn't say this episode was that funny. Not that there weren't any good laughs, mind you. Just for some examples for my favorite moments, we have Marge's letter where she talks about the family, and for Bart, she's like, "And Bart, well, we love Bart." And then you have the tattoo guy asking for Bart's age, where Bart is like 24, and the tattoo guy just accepts it and just lets him get the tattoo. You also have Homer trying to punch the therapist when the therapist's acting like an annoying kid during a Santa training. Like, there's funny moments in here. I just don't think it's the most funniest thing ever. But again, it makes up for it by being a nice little character story. And even though this wasn't meant to be the first episode, it does a good job showing the characters, at least how the characters are in this season. Homer is a well-meaning but dim-witted dad. Marge is his caring housewife. Bart is a troublemaker, but ultimately doesn't mean to cause harm. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that, but I guess what I should say is that he does have a good heart deep down. Lisa, in this season, she can be smart, but she's also more trouble, a bit more mischievous than she'll be in the later seasons, which If you remember from my shorts review, I actually prefer this version of Lisa since I'm not the biggest Lisa fan. And Maggie's a baby. Oh, and this is also the episode where they get the dog. Hence why he's even called Santa's little helper. Again, good episode, but I know both the rest of this season and probably the rest, and easily the rest of the show will make this one look worse. But for a first episode, it is good. It does a good job showing you what Simpsons will be. This is such a giant book. 20 seasons. Episode 2, Bart the Genius. Alright, here we go. I really like this episode. Honestly, because of the relatability of it. This is easily, for only being the second episode of the show, it's easily one of the most relatable. I'm not that good in school. I don't think I'm currently in high school. I'm not going to reveal much else because you don't need to know that much about my life. I mean, in my description for this channel, I already admitted I was a teenager, so, I mean, not that big of a reveal. But much like Bart, I'm really not that good at school. I haven't been held back yet, hopefully. I mean, I barely have it left, thank God, so I don't think there's much of an opportunity for it, but still. But it's still been, I'm just not good at it, so in general, Homer's my favorite character in this show and my favorite character in any piece of fiction. I'd say Bart is the most relatable, because I could seriously relate to especially his struggles with school. So a whole episode like Bart the Genius, which is about Bart switching tests with another student, so he ends up getting put in a genius school. It honestly makes a lot of sense. This episode does a very good job tackling the school system and just how stupid it is. Like, just because of a stupid test that you won't even need, you don't even need to learn any of that stuff for, like, an adult life, by the way. That stuff's completely pointless. Bart ends up getting treated much better than how he was before. He's put in a smart school, and his family is shown to care about him way more because of this, especially Homer. He pretty much treats Bart like a totally different kid. But even then, Bart still can't be happy. His old friends don't accept him. He's obviously not actually smart, so the kids at the genius school are mean to him. He feels like a total outsider, and I just feel so bad for Bart because he clearly doesn't try to be bad. Yeah, sure, him at the very beginning of it, making the whole sketch of Skinner on the wall, that wasn't good. But it's clearly Bart's way of trying to have fun, you know? You have Martin, the little snitch. So yeah, I really like Bart the Genius. I think it's a really good takedown of the school system and how it affects the kids in it. It's still not the funniest. I mean, it didn't really have. Again, for most of it, I just put Bart and Homer bonding as the favorite moments because I do really like that stuff. Pretty good episode, easily going above the first episode. Also, this has been such an all over the place review. I apologize. But this is the first. But episode 1 didn't really have much of an intro, so this is the first episode with a real intro, and I decided I do want to quick review the couch gags. Since why not? There's just a small part of the episode, yes, but they are fun. I'm only not going to review a couch gag for an episode if, like last episode, there just isn't one. Or if there's a repeat, because animation's expensive. You can't make, at least for now, you can't make an entirely new couch gag just for every episode. So if it's either of those, I'm not going to talk about it. But if it's a new one, then I'm going to talk about it. This one is just Bart falling off the couch. Not that great. Episode 3, Homer's Odyssey, aka the Black Smithers episode. Don't we all like the Black Smithers episode? Admittedly, it is a little wild to think that they actually did want to keep Smithers black, but realizing that the most subservient character, pretty much being a minion to Mr. Burns, Making him African American isn't the best choice, writers. Hmm. I mean, apparently he was only like that in this episode as an animation mistake, so I'm assuming the person who drew that didn't realize they already changed him back to the normal yellow. Whatever, accidents happen. And plus, I think it's funny that he's like this just for the one episode. The couch gag for this one is just the couch getting destroyed. I didn't rank the couch gags or anything, but I guess this is one of the better ones from season 1. Early couch gags weren't the greatest. We're going to slowly see them get better. Anyway, the actual plot of this one. While Bart has a field trip at the nuclear plant, Homer gets fired and gets depressed until he finds his calling, making Springfield safe. This is another good one, another 4 out of 5. This is another solid Homer episode, another episode that proves why I just relate to him, why I care about him so much. Yeah, Homer did deserve to be fired because he did cause a serious problem, but he clearly didn't do it intentionally. Again, Homer's just a really likable character. Him and Bart are easily my favorite characters, and I just want to see them succeed. And that's what I want for Homer. I just want Homer to succeed because he's clearly didn't try to do it on purpose. Admittedly, seeing Homer trying to leave this world was pretty depressing. I always get sad every time. But hey, at least in this episode, they actually treat it seriously, unlike later episodes where they just talk about it as a joke. Like Homer wanting to do this type of thing is just a gag or just a random thing he decides to do because Homer stops being a character and becomes an unfunny joke machine. But that's later Simpsons stuff. Let's talk about season 1, I had a lot of favorite moments for this one, and this one has a lot of good gags in it. Like when Bart's teacher, Mrs. Krabappel, talks about the prison. She's like, I don't want any more accidents like during the prison visit. Bart. And Bart's quote of, Mrs. Krabappel, I didn't unlock those doors. That's great. I love that. We also have Wendell, who is right alongside Richard and Lewis as being characters I completely don't understand why the writers barely use. They're really good. Like Wendell, I can maybe understand his gag, but Richard and Lewis were Bart's best friends in this season. So see the writers just to get rid of them in favor of Milhouse, Nelson. That's dumb. I always wish they did more. You also have the old couple talking about Homer while Homer's trying to, again, leave this world. A joke I found really dark but really funny. We also have Homer when he's trying to make Springfield safe, and there's all those newspapers, and there's one that says, enough already, Homer Simpson. That was good. Also, this episode technically has a status quo change. I mean, Simpsons isn't really a show that often does status quo changes. But for a one-off thing, this episode actually does have Homer being a safety advisor at the nuclear plant, which actually is his current job at the plant for most of the show, unless there's like a one-off episode where he does something bigger. So yeah, that actually is a real change. Still probably the weakest episode, but I still like it. Honestly, Simpsons is a show I rarely find myself disliking, so don't expect me to be too mean in these reviews, because this is just my comfort show. Well, sorry about that. It's probably really gross. Episode 4. There's no disgrace like home. At Burns' company picnic, Homer realizes how not normal his family is. So he decides to sell the TV so the family can afford family therapy. Speaking of Homer, the couch guy here is Homer getting pushed off. I mean, I guess we had Bart last time, so why not also have it with Homer? Yeah, you could tell these early couch gags were kind of simplistic and kind of samey, which is why towards the second half of the season, they just started repeating them. Guess what? This is another 4 out of 5. Yeah, I'm just liking these episodes. Even in season 1, The Simpsons is such a good show. so consistently enjoyable, even if it's not at its funniest or its best. Really proves how good of a show this show really is, even in its beginning. Admittedly, this episode is weird. Homer is definitely very different. All I'm gonna say is that the fact I had to talk about Homer pawning the TV, like as if that's something Homer is ever gonna do. Yeah, this is season one, all right. This season, to quote the real gems, probably my favorite Simpsons YouTuber and one of my favorite YouTubers in general. Uh, this is kind of like Bob's Burgers ish with Homer, the father character, kind of being the sane one, except also kind of not really. While his wife and the kids make everything worse. It's a little weird, but I think again when you realize this is season one and it's still enjoyable, even despite that, I think again I still get enjoyment from watching this one. Still not there's not a ton of amazing moments, but again, it's still good. They have the family as demons, which I know looks a little creepy and pretty cursed, but I think it's a really good visual moment. They also have that creepy pawn shop guy who, like, what's bros ish? And we can't forget with the family in the family therapy drawing Homer and Homer just drawing a plane because he wasn't paying attention. That feels like classic Homer right there. And then Homer trying to hit Bart with a lamp just because he insulted him, which is crazy. I guess one final nitpick is that I think the opening stuff of Burns Company Picnic, most of that stuff was pretty meh. Again, Lisa acts more bratty than usual, which, while I'm fine with, is definitely a little weird for her character. But I'm not going to complain too bad because again, I'm not the biggest Lisa fan of any like era. So, episode 5, Bart the General. After a few days of abuse from a school bully named Nelson, Bart gets the help of his grandpa, who gets the help from a guy named Herman, to defeat Nelson. Yep, here it is. No contest. My new favorite episode of the season so far. And can you blame me? This is a really good episode. This is just a really good wartime episode. Why did I say wartime? I meant like army, military. Hopefully you get what I'm picking. Hopefully you're picking up what I'm throwing down. Just a really fun episode. Herman is a good character, though I could totally understand why they barely use him. He's not the type of character you can use all the time. And I honestly think he did peak with this episode. I don't find his appearances afterward anywhere near as good as this. In terms of best moments, we have Homer telling Bart it's okay to be a teacher's pet, because you can get some extra stuff from it, which I'm not that, so. You also have Bart defending Lisa, which is how Nelson bullying him even began. A nice character moment that shows that Bart cares about Lisa, even though he could be mischievous. We also have Bart's fantasy sequences, especially the one about his funeral, which is, again, both so funny and so dark. I forget sometimes that even back in season 1, The Simpsons can have some really dark jokes in there, but they usually work, so I like it. Yeah, just a really good episode. Easily the best one so far. Episode 6, Moaning Lisa. Am I the only one who finds this episode title a little weird? Like, why is Lisa moaning? What is she moaning about? I don't want to find out. Yeesh. Okay, so the couch gag in this one is Maggie flying out of the couch. Same idea. Plot. Plot. Lisa's upset by the weight of the world and her life. Meanwhile, Homer tries to beat Bart in a boxing video game. Pretty meh. This one's a 3 out of 5. Yeah, this is the first episode I wouldn't call good, which is crazy because I know to most people this is probably one of the better season 1 episodes, but it is not for me. I don't really like this one that much. The problem, I guess it's just that for the Lisa story, it just feels kind of meandering and like there's not much is really happening. I mean, at the core of it, what really is the Lisa plot about? She's just upset. Look, I can relate to Lisa a bit in this one with feeling like everything's meaningless and feeling upset. Like, I can understand and relate to this, but come on, Lisa. It's not that deep. I don't know. Honestly, the main highlight of this episode is that Bart and Homer B plot. It's fun enough, and it's honestly better than most of what the Lisa story is offering up. Bleeding Gums Murphy is a chill guy, though. So yeah, sorry. I know this is one of the more liked season one episodes, so I know I'm definitely getting some unpopular hate. So I know it's going to be very unpopular for me to say that I don't really care for it, but just my opinion. Episode 7, The Call of the Simpsons. The family gets an RV, but it falls off a cliff, so the family's got to survive in the woods. Highlight here was no, not the highlight. The couch gag was just the family sitting on the couch. That's it. That's not a couch gag. It's just the couch. No couch gag, just couch. Family on couch. This one's another 3 out of 5 and is easily one of the weakest episodes of the season. Here's a prime example of me being an idiot. I obviously did not even show the thing. So my apologies. That's how much I want to forget about this episode. I forgot to even show it in the book. Yeah, that's some good root beer right there, mate. Honestly, I barely want to even talk about these ones. For the episodes in the season I find meh, I honestly just don't really want to talk about them because they aren't really worth mentioning. Like, I liked the Maggie Bear story. I liked Cowboy Bob. He was a solid one-off character. I don't know. Not really much to say. This one was just kind of dull, and the whole Bigfoot story was just stupid. Moving on, we have episode 8, not going to make the same mistake twice. Episode 8, The Telltale Head. Bart hangs out with a bad crowd, and he gets tempted to cut off the head of town founder Jebediah Springfield. But the town gets distraught with this, so he and Homer try to put the head back on. Don't have much to say, but I do like this one. It's a solid 4 out of 5. Solid, don't fall into peer pressure story. I like it well enough. It's fun to see the town liking Jebediah Springfield so much. This is our origin with him. And while I do know a certain season 7 episode kind of makes him seem worse, having a symbol like this, I think, is important for a town or a community to have. That's all I'm gonna say. The only thing left I really have to add to this one is Bart using that little rope, to fly out of his window with a skateboard was pretty chill, pretty epic. Again, the first third is about the family going to church, which has nothing to do with the rest of the episode, but is still just there. And I forgot to write this in my favorite moments, but there's that line with Burns is like, "I love you, Smithers," and Smithers like, "Feelings more than mutual, sir." How good old Smithers, from black to gay. What a character arc. Episode 9, Life on the Fast Lane. Okay, so my brother, him again, remember him from the Office review? He really doesn't like this episode because he really doesn't like this guy, Jacques. But I like him and this episode. But I'm getting ahead of myself. It's Marge's birthday, and Homer gets her a gift clearly meant for himself, but this gift gets her to meet a guy she gets her just having an affair with. It's the first of the dreaded Homer-Marge marriage crisis episodes. And in terms of the Homer and Marge marriage crisis episodes, I think it's a good Homer and Marge marriage crisis episodes. I think what works about it is just Jacques. I just like him as a character. He's such a creep, but a funny creep. Like one I kind of want to see more of. And it actually has some real emotion to it. By the end, although I've seen this in every season one episode like a gazillion times, which made me tempted to just not even rewatch them. But obviously that's dumb. I'm a reviewer. That's part of my channel brand. I gotta commit. Yeah. My mouth really didn't want to say that word for some reason. Yeah, you gotta commit. And that's what I did. And that's, and it's a good episode. I'm glad. I like this one. Again, most of the best moments are just good shock. And I also like how they put Bart and Lisa in here. Sometimes in these marriage crisis episodes, they often just allow Bart and Lisa to not really do anything. Either just do nothing out of their own story. So it's nice to see them actually kind of be involved with the marriage crisis for once. Homer and Marge are married. It makes sense that their children will get involved in this. So, episode 10, Homer's Night Out. Bart takes a picture of Homer dancing next to a woman, which becomes the talk of the town, eventually causing Marge to kick Homer out. 3 out of 5. Was almost tempted to put this at the bottom of the season, but I think this episode's easier to sit through than Call of the Simpsons, which I find more boring, but yeah, this one's not great either. My main problem is just how unfair the episode is to Homer. He dances next to a woman, and this causes everyone in town to hate him and treat him like he's some villain. It just makes me feel bad for the poor guy, especially since he didn't really even do anything wrong. Again, dancing next to a woman. Like, Marge, you and Homer have been in a relationship for so long. Obviously, he was just having fun at a stag party. Come on. And how is this picture so popular? It's just bro dancing next to a woman. Were people that sad back in 1990 when this episode aired that this is the type of thing they have to enjoy? I guess so. So yeah, as annoying as this episode can be, in terms of sitting through it, I find it easier to watch than Call of the Simpsons. Hence why I'm still putting it above it in the ranking. Not to mention, I think there are some genuinely good moments in here that definitely make the episode more enjoyable. Like Eugene and his talk with his dad, which was so weirdly heartwarming. And you also have Burns' double-faced speech, where first he's talking hating on Homer, but then he asks Smithers to leave, and he genuinely wants Homer to give him some love advice. One of the only times Mr. Burns gets any shred of sympathy from me. What an honor. Episode 11. Grapes of Wrath. Bart goes to a foreign exchange program where he gets treated horribly. Meanwhile, the family gets an Albanian kid who's secretly working for the USSR. This episode, more than anything, makes me glad I rewatched these ones. Again, I've watched these episodes a billion times, but I remembered liking this one. But honestly, on a rewatch, especially since it's been a bit, nah, I can't call this one good. I think I was just overhyping the Adil stuff, which, while easily the best part, still isn't that amazing. Pretty meh one. Again, just Bart getting treated miserably, which starting to notice a theme of some of these episodes. Look, putting down a character for an episode can work, especially if the character's a jerk. But I just feel bad for Bart. I mean, he did pull a pretty bad prank in the beginning, so I'm not going to be totally on his side, but still unjustified for all the treatment he gets put through while in France. The Adil stuff is definitely better. The highlight of this one is just Homer being so oblivious to Adil obviously being evil, even if I do find Adil being evil in the first place to be very forced and not really needed, but whatever. Homer being oblivious was still funny, and it's really the beginning of Homer acting like an idiot. Episode 12, Krusty gets busted. Krusty is seen robbing the Quickie Mart, so he goes to jail, but Bart and Lisa try to prove his innocence. Here it is. Oh my god, I am so bad at this. So dumb. Oh, so dumb. I apologize for being so dumb. Okay, so this is the best episode of the season. We only have one episode left, and it's not beating this one. I'm spoiler alert. It's just a really good mystery. I don't even find it that funny, but the mystery is super good, super well crafted. I always enjoy it, even though I've seen this one a bunch, so I already know how it's going to end. But still, so smooth. Really love it. In terms of highlights, we have Homer calling Patty and Selma the gruesome twosome. We have Krusty accidentally pleading guilty in his trial. It's just a really good one. Again, I'm not saying more of my favorite moments because I don't want to spoil the mystery. But yeah, good. It's a pretty good episode. Again, easily my favorite of the season. Also, when Krusty was making his drink, am I the only one who thought he put whipped cream in it? I remember liking that moment, so I was about to put it in as a favorite moment, but apparently it wasn't whipped cream. It was just another thing in his whiskey. I'm pretty sure it was something alcohol related. It's a little weird, but okay. I thought it was whipped cream because clown. I thought it would have been a fun little gag, but I guess I'm just too dumb. You really need a high IQ to understand the Simpsons, I guess. And to end things off, some enchanted evening. Homer and Marge go out for a romantic night out, so the kids have to handle an evil babysitter. Mwahaha, mwahaha. Honestly, the most interesting thing about this episode is the production behind it. One of those things where the production is like a gazillion times more interesting than the actual episode itself. For those who are unaware, originally, this was meant to be the first episode of the show. However, due to animation errors and blah blah blah, it ended up having to be the final episode while Simpsons roasting on an open fire, which was, I believe, episode 8, had to be bumped up to the first one. That's it. That's the most interesting thing about it. It's a meh episode otherwise. Not bad, but also not anything special. List time. At the bottom, we have The Call of the Simpsons, Homer's Night Out, Crepes of Wrath, Some Enchanted Evening, and then Moaning Glees at the top. And then for the goodies, we have Telltale Head, Homer's Odyssey, Life on the Fast Lane, Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire, There's No Disgrace Like Home, Bart the Genius, Bart the General, and Krusty Gets Busted. Yeah, good season. Far from one of the best, but as a start, I think it works well. Not the funniest, but the character interactions and all that are super fun, super entertaining. The Simpsons, especially the first 8 seasons, I've seen those episodes from the first 8 seasons so much, and I will continue to rewatch and enjoy them, Such an amazing peak show. And while the season 1 is good, it still doesn't show the best. I mean, there were no... Heck, the season didn't even have any 5 out of 5s. It's still a good start to, in my opinion, the greatest show ever created. And I'm happy I finally had the chance to publicly talk about its first season. I'll see you guys for season 2, or hopefully my next video in general.